Access to water is a necessity for human survival. Water supply has always been essential to the prosperity of civilization. Several regions across the globe receive below-average rainfall, which includes the Southwestern United States. One of the main sources of water is the Colorado River, which stretches from the Rockies to the Delta Basin in Mexico. Yet in recent years, it has dried up considerably.
For the first time in U.S. history, the government has declared a water shortage in the Colorado River. Climate change and the ongoing drought are both threatening the river's future. With less snow hitting the mountains each year, the melted runoff can't replenish the water levels.
Some of the most vulnerable communities facing water shortages are native reservations. Broken treaties and a lack of federal funds has contributed to 1 in 10 Indigenous Americans lacking access to safe tap water. This is further exacerbated by the ongoing drought gripping the region due to a changing climate. This past summer, I had the opportunity with Tyler and Achin to travel to several Native American reservations and interview individuals to discover how the water scarcity in the southwestern region is affecting them directly. We investigated why certain groups like Native Americans suffer disproportionately than others in this ongoing drought. We started our trip in Denver, Colorado, traveling through the Rocky Mountains to the southwestern part of the state, and arrived at our first reservation. The Utes were a vast band of tribes that once stretched across the state of Colorado, Utah, and several others. The Southern Ute tribe in the lower part of the Colorado comprised of the Muache and Caputa bands. While there, we were able to go on a tour with one of the Ute leaders, who took us into parts of the reservation restricted to the general public. He showed us some artifacts that had been scattered across the valley. We climbed up to elevated rooms carved into the sides of the mountains, where his native ancestors once lived. He took us into an abandoned hut where the chiefs and elders of the tribes used to gather. He explained to us that right now, Mother Earth is growing angry at her people because there is a great imbalance happening.
We're not going to get as much moisture as we used to back in the old days. Back in the old days, we used to get a lot of moisture. Everything used to be green out here. But now, it's going to get all dry. Even the river's gone. Our river that used to be here is gone. You can own all the land you can have all the money you want, but in reality, Mother Earth and the Creator together, they can take that all away from you.
Wildfires devastating the West Coast and other parts of the country. More than 1,800 square miles of land
is being consumed by fire.
In gigantic infernos burning across Siberia on an unprecedented scale.
Entire
a climate
ecosystems
catastrophe.
are collapsing.
The wildfires
we are in the beginning
of
a mass extinction.
Another change that affected water security within Native communities is how reservations are constructed. Our tour guide mentioned that the Hopi tribe, who now dwell in Arizona, used to travel to this region for its spiritual significance and a change in the season. The breakup of reservations limits their ability to congregate and have access to water during the drier seasons. Due to a lack of river water, our tour guide mentioned that bottled water is the best option for drinking clean water on the reservation. When we went to get food at the grocery store, we noticed that the bottled water cost more than many of the sugary drinks, like Gatorade and soda. According to the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Office of Minority Health, Native American adults are 50% more likely to be obese than non-Hispanic whites, which can lead to an increase in heart disease, diabetes, and stroke. Sugary drinks that are cheaper than water could be a major contributor to this statistic. And those with underlying health conditions fare worse against COVID-19. which may explain why reservations like the Navajo Nation were devastated in the early months of the pandemic.
Navajo Nation is the largest Native American reservation in the United States. It takes up to 27,413 square miles. The term Navajo is actually a name given to the natives in this region by the Spanish. Many scholars attach the term to a clasp knife or thief, so it's assumed that this term was used in a derogatory way. Many people of the Navajo Nation wish to be identified as Dine, which is a native term meaning people. With over 173,000 Navajos living within the reservation, we wanted to know the way water is used and conserved amongst the territory's inhabitants. While on the reservation, we talked with Rex Coons, who is the Deputy General Manager at Navajo Tribal Utility Authority in New Mexico.
We're wondering, how does the Navajo Nation itself, what's its main source of water? How does it obtain its water?
Okay, the majority of water for domestic services is groundwater wells.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you drill down in the bedrock and drop a pump, a submersible pump, and you pump the water out, store it in a tank.
Okay.
So that's the drinking water.
Okay, and is the water clean?
Yes.
Okay.
The aquifers that are targeted all have drinkable water.
Okay, and where would arsenic come from?
Arsenic it's an element down in the groundwater.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
so would miners nearby, have they potentially given any exposure to arsenic in the water?
There's some exposure. We had wells that were above the limit, so they were okay.
Yeah.
And then over time, EPA changed some of the requirements and lowered the limit. So we had some that became over the limit because of change in regulation.
Oh, okay. How is the drought affecting water security within the Navajo Nation?
One of the Bushes, I forget whether it was the first Bush or the second Bush as president, but it's right around the time that global warming started becoming a topic. Mm-hmm. And they did a big, massive study on global warming to find out whether it was validated or not. Mm-hmm. And one of the recommendations or the study said that we'll still get precipitation, but it's in the form of rainwater and not so much in snowpack. Okay, so groundwater is primarily recharged by snowpack. The snow soaks in over time and eventually gets into the subsurface formations, and that's what recharges the water tables. Rainwater tends to hit the ground and run off.
Okay.
So it doesn't really recharge your groundwater much.
So are a large number of people not able to access water on the Navajo Nation?
Yeah, if you look at that map, all the little black dots there, they represent homes that don't have piped water.
Okay.
So you can see there's a number of them, big clusters.
And how would they obtain water? By buying it?
They haul it, yeah. They may haul it and buy it. Part of the difficulty there is you do have these natural springs, you got livestock wells, you have the windmills that are pulling water up. People go to theirs because it's close to them, it's convenient, but that's not treated water. And in the Eastern Agency and other areas, they actually have uranium in it, so it's radioactive. But the people don't understand because they ingest it. It doesn't make you immediately sick. It's something that builds up in your body over time. So some people say, we drank that water our whole life. Well, Uncle Joe got cancer, and they don't relate that that's what caused it. So, those are the challenges that we have out here. If we create reservoiring on Navajo, then we would have those same type of protections. And that's still in the works. We've been talking with legislators about the possibility of some future allocation of funding to create reservoiring. So the other thought was we don't have these big mountains like in Colorado where they could capture and create a reservoir like Lake Nighthorse. But our recommendation was a series of reservoirs along the courses of the water flowing. So you pull some off and store it, and then you could pull back out of it during these emergency situations. Part of the thought process is, how do we get these large